Hello, I am Endlessness and welcome back to Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, and in this video I'd like to give you a guide for the floor B25 at the Burial Singularity Tower. Knight of Judgment is weak to ice and water, and he also has increased magic resistance, so physical attacks are more effective on him. And he also uses lightning attacks, and most of them deal magic damage, but he also mixes some physical ones too. And here you need to be able to do enough damage on your main DPS character to get through that beginning, because the boss will lock two of your characters and he will have a force gauge with a countdown, and in that time you have to deplete it, otherwise it's a wipe. And the knight also has a sigil phase, but it's a very easy one, and all you have to do is break 6 circle and 6 triangle sigils, so that can be easily done with 2 characters breaking them. And also, sometimes knight can inflict silence status, so just in case bring Esuna silence as well as something to debuff attacks, buff your defenses, and optionally you could boost your lightning resistance, and of course something to debuff ice or water resistance depending on what DPS are you bringing. We have many DPS options because you can use physical ice or water DPS, so Vincent, Yuffie, Tifa and Glenn are your best DPS here, but you can use some older weapons, but you need high enough DPS to deplete that gauge at the beginning of the battle. And with supports it's the same case, and there are many options on how you could build your team depending on what weapons you have available, as long as you bring those buffs and debuffs that will help you get you through the battle. But I think Sid with Enfeeble and Odin Vincent or Tifa with Exploit Weakness are the fastest way to clear this battle. And I have Matt, Sid and Cloud in my team, and Matt is my healer, and he also can debuff ice resistance. Sid buffs physical attack and ice damage, and also debuffs attack types, and I think they work quite well as you get most amount of buffs in that short amount of time, especially at the beginning of the battle before the boss locks them. And I have Cloud as my DPS, but Tifa with Exploit Weakness could be very similar, and of course Vincent is the best one now. And I also have some equipment so it's empty, and I only brought the necessary equipment to lower my stats and make this guide more accessible, but you should equip weapons and material that boost your stats the most. Matt has Gear Voucher outfit with Gigantic Shield, Nautilus Spiral to debuff ice resistance, Syringe for defensive buffs, Ultimate Weapon, Cura in all cure slots, and another Cura for single target heals, Esuna Silence, and then sub-equipment slots a guild weapon with magic defense for allies and a weapon with buff debuff extension. Sid has default outfit with any of his limit breaks or summons, Pole Axe to debuff both attack types, Scimitar to buff attack and ice damage, Triangle Sigil and Esuna Silence just in case if Matt gets targeted. And then in sub-equipment slots, a guild weapon with magic defense for allies, a weapon with buff debuff extension, and a guild weapon with AEB boost so that Sid can buff Cloud before he gets locked. Cloud has Ice Arcanum outfit with Shiva, Stream Saber for DPS, and Glavenus to debuff physical defense, but Hard Edge would also work the same. Ultimate Weapon, Circle Sigil in boost slots, and then in sub-equipment slots a weapon with buff debuff extension for Glavenus debuffs to last longer, and Bald Eagle to max out physical attack and boost ice potency. Alright, at the beginning of the battle you want to cast that physical attack and ice buff, and also debuff ice resistance with mats before they get locked, so you don't have much time to do that. But if you have Cloud or any other DPS, start buffing before you get that max stance and then start doing DPS. But the main obstacle in this battle is to get through this phase, the beginning of the battle, because you have to deplete that gauge in time, and also the knight will keep attacking you, so I recommend timing those attacks so you can keep switching to defense on them. If you mistime it, you can skip that one number, but otherwise try to go back to that switching on those attacks just not to take too much damage and not accidentally die. But this is crucial that you deplete this gauge before 1. Otherwise you will do a greater rend and that will be a team wipe. But spatial rend, it's fine, it will target just one character, and without buffs and debuffs they will not die, they will just take a little bit damage and that's it. And it seems to be a random attack. But here, instantly start buffing, curing and applying debuffs. And of course if you have Matt's new weapon at OB6, then you will get high potency, ice resistance debuff instead of mid, so it just will add a little bit more DPS. But when you get all those buffs and debuffs that you have available, then you can do Shiva whenever you like. But Javelin bolts, it's fine, just make sure that you have magic defense buff and Sid debuffs attack. You would survive without those buffs and debuffs, but it just allows you to recover faster. Oh, it's alright, let's just start curing Cloud a bit. And soon there should be that sigil phase. Okay, twin javelins. They don't really, those attacks don't really do much damage, but it's just for the convenience. Alright, and here's the sigil phase, and you really don't need 3 characters because just so few sigils that one character without sigil boost can break one type of sigil, and then your DPS with sigil boost slot can just one-shot that sigil. And same thing, just with the DPS, just DPS, and with Sid and Matt, just make sure that you have all those buffs and debuffs applied, and otherwise there's not much to do. But the Knight is just tanky. Right, actually I'm going to use Shiva after this attack. And if Cloud gets targeted, it also seems kind of random who gets targeted by these, but if Cloud gets targeted, it's the best outcome because you don't even have to cure him from silence, because if you have physical DPS, you do nothing with magic materia or C abilities. And actually I think I have Sid's default limit break, but if you want to keep stopping him, just select the second limit break, and you can use it multiple times in a battle, but the layer ones, they won't be as effective anymore. They only have like 2 seconds duration of that stop. Actually, will it? Oh, that was lucky. I was just looking at that buff, the magic defense buff, if it will expire or not. Right, let's just keep buffing Cloud here. And so now that should be it. It's basically the whole, everything is the same, those phases just keep repeating. But also I think it's the first battle where you have higher requirements because of that beginning, where you have to have high enough DPS to be able to deplete that gauge in time. So it's understandable that each floor has higher requirements, but now it slowly makes me worried what will those higher floors be. At least I don't expect to be able to beat B30 like on the original battle tower, but I'm just curious how far I can get. Alright, magic defense buff is active. Defense is debuffed. Attack is debuffed, not defense. Since the knight is almost dead, I'm just not bothering to heal and just kill him this way. But of course, use Shiva whenever you have available. But yeah, that's a whole battle. And so far, it's manageable, but you really need that high enough DPS for the beginning. And so you can bring as many buffs and debuffs as you want to, just you need to deplete that gauge in time. Otherwise, the battle is much more manageable after you get through that beginning. It seems like the main obstacle here. But yeah, I hope you found my guide helpful, and thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next one.